Hello YouTube. Today I have a real special treat for you. One of my best friends is here with me, Randy, and Randy has been in the knife business for almost 31 years now. So I've known him for 30 years. We started out pretty much at the same point in time with knives, and what I would like to do is take you through a little chronological order of where knives were when we started out, how they evolved, and kind of where they are today. Things from when we started, like Skagel, which predates both of us, Randall, which was a big custom name in our time. And I'd like to introduce you to Randy now. And Randy is the proprietor of Randy's Knives. It's an eBay store now. He has in the past had brick and mortar stores. And Randy's brought a few things to let us see. We've got some knives to show you, so let's dive right into it. And Randy, could you kind of tell us how you started with this and how your business evolved, and just kind of what you've went through, I guess, in all these years that we've known each other?
Sure. As Bruce said, I started a year or so before I met him and began, like a lot of people, selling a few knives out of my lunchbox at work, and evolved through the whole gamut of flea markets, and had a dog ugly blue van, the camper van, that I had an awning on the side, and I would take it to the flea market and park it on the side of a road. Anywhere I could sell a knife, I sold a knife. Eventually, worked through various brick and mortar stores, from one sort of out in the country where I got robbed by the bikers to a nicer store in a mall type environment. Eventually burned out on having a store, and I've ended up now I sell mail order, but I've been selling knives pretty consistently, since 1980. Some of the things that Bruce and I have talked about and that we remember is, in the 70s is when knife collecting as we know it now really began. And what was happening is the old American companies that you all know about, the Case and Western and Camelus, those companies were, to cut costs, evolving away from mere fine craftsmanship and bone handles and going to cheaper materials. And some of the people that really loved knives realized that, and they began beating the bushes looking for old knives to buy. And by the end of the 70s, they had bought them all. The old general stores and hardware stores, there were no good old knives left. And we kind of agree that the modern knife collecting started with Jim Parker and Jim Frost, when they decided, since there were no more old knives really for them to get, they went to Imperial Schrade, which was the biggest knife company in the world at that time, had some nice bone-handled knives made to market under their name, and did a good job with them. They were nice knives. They found that they were probably a little too expensive to really build the business they wanted, and Jim Parker went to Japan and talked to the manufacturers there that they could drop their very cheap low-end knives that were exporting and increase their market share by building better knives, and which they did, and it evolved throughout the 70s and 80s to really fine knives like Almar, and changed the whole face of the American knife business. It was things like, I dug out this catalog with case knives from 1981, and what I found going through that is that by 1981 nearly every knife Case was selling had plastic handles. There were heavy and kitchen knives and things like that, and the competition from these new import companies and smaller companies like Parker were basically driving them out of business, and a lot of the knife companies that had been around for 75 years in this era went away.
We have, you know, companies like here's an old 70s era case, bone handles. You can see this one's well used. This was a kind of product that they started out putting out, and to compete, the quality, you know, frankly slipped at that time. Here's another one by Queen. As you can see, this one's even more well used. The tip is broken off of it. But these were the kind of things that when we started, at least, you could find, and it kind of deteriorated from there. And as Randy has just said, they went into the knives that Jim Parker, A.G. Russell and others got into the mix and really started bringing out you know, just whole new lines of knives. Craig Matthews imported knives from Germany and built a whole market there. Excuse me. And I think Randy has some of the Matthews catalogs and some of the others here.
Yeah, what I found looking at these again is in 1981, some of the things that we were able to get at that point were Imperial Schrade, biggest knife company in the world. Schrade is now a trademark used on Chinese knives. Gerber was available, and most of the line was American made. Not exactly the case anymore. They still have some good American knives, lots of Chinese knives. Camelus was a big company, made knives for the U.S. government. They made contract knives for companies like Buck. Camelus is gone.
They used to call them the knife maker's knife maker.
Correct. Camelus went out of business. There is a line of knives now being sold by them by using that trademark, not the old American, you know, company. It's gone. There were small companies like Rigid made a good, heavy-duty, somewhat clunky American-made knife. Rigid's gone. Western had been around since the early 1900s in Colorado. Made great knives. Western was bought out, then bought out again. It's gone. And a lot of that. The German knives were big in the 80s. Companies like Ibrand, Hartkopf, Puma, Otter, Diefenthal, Boker, all of those were around and popular. The only one really making knives to speak of now is Boker. All those other trademarks are gone or being used by somebody else.
There's a lot. Also, very early on, we had knives, and this is a reproduction, folks. So don't clamor trying to buy my Skagel. It's an extremely nice one that's made by. Oh, he's going to kill me. I can't remember his name. Maybe it'll come to me.
Is that on the guard, Greco?
Greco, John Greco. Thank you, Randy. And of course, one of the real giants, Randall. This is the Astro, which was the knives that were with the Mercury astronauts. And you know, Randall has been around since the war years. The story is that he saw scale knives, and I think it was someone scraping a boat with one up in Michigan, and he became intrigued with it, and he started making knives. So even at those very early years, we had some custom makers, Ruana and others, and through the years, the tastes have changed for people. The styles and certainly the knife steels have went through a huge change. You know, we started out with these guys with 1095, 1075, 01, just simple carbon steels. They did the job then. They'll do the job now if they're properly tempered. We've evolved into things like this black ceramic. You know, there's no steel in it at all. You know, it won't rust in a million years. So We have new super steels like S30V in this neck knife. We have full line custom makers like Murray Carter, who made this little neck knife, who uses more traditional steels like the super blue steel and the white steel knives. We also have knives coming in from around the world, like these by Kylie Harris, a pair of neck knives. You've seen these previously. I've got some more coming from Kylie. I was hoping to have them in this video, but didn't quite make it. The trends over the years, Randy, I think the tactical trend was a big one.
Well, the first fad that I really remember was survival knives, and in a sense that was the forerunner of the bushcraft. It tended toward the Rambo style hollow handled knives and got a little carried away with all of that. Tactical knives came and just changed everything. The old patterns became more of a nostalgia item than one that everybody was clamoring for.
Yeah, you were going from something like this to something like this Combat Elite knife. Quite a change. Single blade, lock back, just a spring back folder, and we have other knives with no steel at all. Cobalt by David Boy. Some of the newest custom knives, like this Starfighter, just amazing what people are coming out with now. The bushcraft phase, which is ongoing and actually growing, I think, right now. Here's a good example of that. This is the Habilis bush knife that you saw reviewed earlier in one of my videos. So quite a change, wouldn't you say, Randy? Over all this time, it's just amazing. The old cased astronaut's knife. Just simple stainless steel, but a knife that was designed to fit a certain task. Al Marr, one of the early custom makers, just gorgeous knives like these kind of kicked off another phase. And any thoughts that you'd like to add, Randy, to kind of wrap up? Or?
No, I see that it is ongoing. I see things like the ceramic coming in and all of a sudden becoming very popular. We haven't gotten away from the tactical look yet, but I expect that at some point we will.
I noticed that companies like Canal Street Cutlery, for instance, are coming in and are bringing back some of the traditional patterns, but in a much higher quality knife. I think that you probably see some of that too. And what does the future hold? We don't know. It's there's just so many changes in technology, so many changes in what people can do now that it's just hard to say but whatever it is, as long as I'm around, you can bet that I'm going to try to look at this little lens over here and bring it to you folks, because I just really enjoy it. It's my favorite thing to do, and I hope that y'all will have a great day. Again, I want to thank Randy for
thank you for having me,
coming in and sharing his knowledge is far greater than mine. And I really appreciate him being here today and taking the time to do this. And everyone out there, take it easy, and we'll see you on the next video.